So, how did I make $336 trading Meta call options? So, looking at Meta at 626, 943. So, looking at Meta's chart from yesterday. So, that's 943. So this candle right here, so I bought Meta call options as soon as it landed on the 20-day moving average, and then I bought a couple of more Meta call options at 944. I think my position was down either 2%, 3%, either one of those percentages of being down. And so then at 954 I sold out the position and I made a gain of $336 trading Meta call options. So basically this trade I basically dollar cost averaged, and basically when I saw that the position was down either 2 or 3%, I was like, well, let me buy more Meta call options, and in case Meta does decide to bounce off that 20-day moving average, then basically my position can be in the green a lot more faster. So that's basically what happened. At one point, Meta did break the 20-day moving average and landed on the 50-day moving average. It used the 50-day moving average as support and bounced off of it. So that was a pretty good sign that support was pretty in demand in the morning. And so usually in the morning, most of the demand is in the morning, and then most of the other demand is in later in the late afternoon around closing time. So basically, if you stick to trading early or in the when the market's about to close, that's where usually both times the volume of the market will pump. And so if you're a person that wants to take advantage of the market when there's a bunch of volume occurring, try to take advantage of the morning times and try to take advantage of the closing times of the market. So anywhere from 3 to 4, and then pre-market, in the morning hours you should watch is anywhere from 9:30 to, I would say, 10:30 at most. I feel like once the stock market passes 10:30, most of the momentum sort of dies down, volume wise. But usually what I observe is that the markets aren't that, I guess you could say, moving that much. So it's more so in the morning and so much more in the late afternoons around closing time. So basically, let's see if we can make Facebook, Meta an example. Let's see if we can make Meta, let's see if we can make an example out of Meta. So, today's chart. So, basically, you can see that, Meta was having trouble maintaining itself above the 9 and 20-day moving average, but you can clearly see that Meta was doing a pretty good job of using the 50-day moving average as support. So let's say you waited, you're patiently waiting for Meta to see if it can use the 50-day moving average as support, right? You're like, okay, well, the pre-market candle held pretty well on the 50-day moving average. So did the 10 candle, so did the 11:30 candle. And then you could have been like, okay, well, let's see if I can get into an opportunity once Meta decides to land on the 50-day moving average. Here, this specific candle, the 14 candle, you could have played Meta call options as soon as it landed on the 50-day moving average. Now, the next step would be, when do I know when to sell out, right? So basically, to know when you would sell out is basically wait for the bounce, or wait for Meta to bounce off that 50-day moving average, and as soon as it starts approaching either the 9 or 20-day moving average, sell out the position and move on to the next trade. So let's say this same candle, for whatever reason, doesn't use, let's say we don't see a bounce here on this candle, right? But there could be a probability that we could see a bounce in the next candle, right? So let's say you bought call options of Meta here once it landed on the 50-day moving average, and now you wait for the next candle, the 1430 candle, to either approach the 9 or 20-day moving average. Once it approaches one of those moving averages, that's basically your exit point of selling out your position. Or try to keep in mind, see where it says 6%. So basically try to mentalize your percentage target that you're trying to aim for the day. So if you're trying to aim for a 5, 10, 15, 20% gainer for the day, try to be realistic. Try to be like, okay, well, I do believe that, I could reach a 10% gainer for the day. Or, just try to be realistic. What most people try to do when they're first starting out is that they try to, obtain exaggerated percentage targets. That's like, for example, most beginner traders try to aim for 50, 100% gainers. I keep saying this every day, but this is sadly the truth. Most people won't learn from their mistakes. I've learned from I learned from my mistakes. I'm just basically what I learned is you got to discipline yourself. If you don't discipline yourself when you're trading in the market, you will lose a ton of money. I'm just saying this to be realistic with you. I've been there. I guess you could say I was like a egotistical, person that, thought like, oh, I'm never gonna lose. I'm never gonna take losses. In the beginning, I started being greedy. It went well for a while, but then it hit me really hard, and I was like, whoa, okay, so I guess I do need to learn how to take my losses, when to take my losses, know when to get in, get out, because if I don't, learn how to do that, I'm basically just gambling at that point, and I'm never gonna learn how to actually trade in the market. And so what most people fail to learn when they're learning how to trade is that you have to self-discipline yourself. You have to have a very strong mental mind game when you're trading in the market. If you have a terrible red day, take the loss. Just know, accept it, and just move on to the next trade. But at least for the next trade, you know what to do now, instead of making that same mistake like you just did of making, having a very horrible trading day. So just keep in mind, try to be disciplined, try to use the the trend of the market or of the chart. Use the 30-minute time chart, use the 9, 20, 50, 180, and 200-day moving averages as your entry points and as your exit points, or try to use support or resistance levels throughout the day as your entry points or your exit points. So that is pretty much it. This is not financial advice. As always, take care, and I'll see you guys in the next video. As always, take care. Bye.